The port city of Port Azure was a vibrant, busy place. Its docks were always alive with activity, its markets bright under the sun. Here, people made their fortunes, and their lives changed with every ship that came and went. In this town, a young man named Aurelian Vance seemed to have everything. He wasn't born into wealth, but he had earned his place at sea. Through hard work, deep dedication, and a natural understanding of ships and the ocean, he had risen quickly. At just 25, he was the most promising first mate on the Sea Serpent, the best ship in the Thorn shipping fleet. His promotion to captain was not just hoped for, it was practically certain. Beyond his work, Aurelian was full of a simple, pure joy. His heart belonged completely to Lysandra, a woman whose spirit was as bright as her name and whose laughter could lift the heaviest fog. Their wedding was planned for the next summer, promising a life of shared dreams and happiness. Life, it seemed, was an open, endless horizon. But even the clearest skies can hide dangerous currents, and the brightest joys can cast the darkest shadows of envy. Aurelian, with his honest nature and ambition, had unknowingly made 3 secret enemies. The first was Cormac, an older deckhand on the Sea Serpent. Cormac was a bitter, resentful man, angry that Aurelian had moved up so quickly while he remained stuck. He felt deeply overlooked, always denied the recognition he thought he deserved. Aurelian's own kindness only made Cormac's anger worse, twisting it into a cold, hard dislike. The second enemy was Baron von Straten, a powerful and well-known city leader in Port Azure. Von Straten was a cold, calculating man who was used to getting whatever he wanted, and he wanted Lysandra. Her spirited rejection of his advances only inflamed his proud and possessive nature. Aurelian, with his honest and unyielding love, was an irritating obstacle to von Straten's twisted desires. The third, and perhaps most dangerous, was Silas Thorn, the cunning and smooth-talking owner of the Sea Serpent. Thorn presented himself as perfectly honest, but underneath, he ran a complex web of illegal deals, smuggling, cheating on prices, and cruelly exploiting his own workers. Aurelian, with his sharp mind and strong sense of right and wrong, was unknowingly getting too close to Thorn's operations. He was asking too many insightful questions and earning too much respect from the very people Thorn exploited. Silas feared that Aurelian's ambition would eventually expose his carefully built empire of lies. Each of these men harbored a poisonous seed of envy and self-preservation, waiting for the perfect moment to act. That moment arrived with chilling precision. It started subtly, with rumors spread quietly in the taverns of Port Azure, whispers that Aurelian had secret radical beliefs, that he supposedly disliked the city's leaders. Then came the fabricated evidence, a sealed letter, supposedly from Aurelian, addressed to a known group of rebels. It described a ridiculous plan to disrupt Port Azure's trade and start a revolt. It was a clever, evil trick put together in detail by Silas Thorn, approved with official stamps and false witness by Baron von Straten, and seemingly confirmed by Cormac, who lied about Aurelian's secret meetings. The evening of Aurelian and Lysandra's engagement celebration, a night meant for happiness and future hopes, turned into a nightmare. Amidst the laughter and music, the doors burst open. The city guard, led by von Straten himself, stormed the hall. Aurelian, shocked and completely innocent, watched in horror as the false accusations were shouted. His protests were ignored. Lysandra's desperate cries, her pleas for him, became a sad, echoing sound as Aurelian was dragged away, his hands tied. His future was torn from him in an instant. They took him, not to the usual city jails, but to the infamous Isle of Shadows. This lonely fortress, made of dark, sharp rock stood defiantly in the middle of rough, endless ocean waves. It was a place spoken of only in whispers, where dangerous or inconvenient people simply vanished. There were no trials, no chances to appeal, just an endless, forgotten silence. Years blurred into an agonizing, never-ending cycle of despair. Each morning brought only the same gray sky, the same cold wind, the same hollow feeling of his fading hopes. The taste of salt was always on his tongue, like the tears he once shed freely, but they had long since dried. He clung to memories of Lysandra, of Port Azure, of the life stolen from him, but even these began to fray at the edges, worn down by the constant loneliness and the crushing injustice. Hope died, replaced by a bitter, burning rage that became the only thing keeping him alive. Aurelian Vance, the bright, hopeful sailor, died in that dark cell. His innocence was crushed, giving painful birth to something entirely new, something hard and unyielding. His only companion on the isle was an old wise scholar named Master Alaric. Alaric was imprisoned for his unpopular ideas. In truth, for knowing too much about the city's corrupt power structures. Alaric had spent decades watching, planning, and waiting. He saw in Aurelian not just another victim, but someone who could fulfill a great purpose. In his final years, Alaric became Aurelian's unexpected teacher. He taught him not just his vast knowledge, history, languages, economics, ancient philosophies, the true workings of power and the subtle art of deception, but also the location of an unimaginable treasure. This was no ordinary hoard of gold, but a meticulously recorded cache of ancient gold, rare jewels, and priceless artifacts, hidden on a forgotten island far to the east, gathered over centuries by a secret group. With Alaric's dying breath, Aurelian inherited not just a fortune, but a destiny, a precise education in the darker side of the world, specifically for those who sought to bring down the corrupt. The escape was not planned. It was a desperate chance taken during a wild, powerful storm that hit the isle. Amidst the howling winds and crashing waves, Aurelian, now thin but strong, his mind a steel trap, seized his opportunity. He bravely navigated the treacherous currents that had claimed so many others, driven by one clear, burning goal. It took years of sailing, searching, digging, and figuring out Alaric's cryptic maps. But finally, in an ancient ruin on a desolate island, he found it, the hidden riches. It was more than he could have ever imagined, a fortune vast enough to shift empires, contained within a chamber lined with glittering black stone, a stark, dark beauty that perfectly mirrored the transformation within him. He spent more years mastering his new identity, changing himself completely, inside and out. He learned the manners of the rich, the details of high finance, the subtle dance of power. He built a network of informants and helpers across the known world. He became Lord Azrael, a man of immense wealth, mysterious charm, and undeniable power. His face, though still bearing traces of the old Aurelian, was now shadowed by a carefully built air of mystery. His eyes held the cold, calculating wisdom gained from countless dark nights. When Lord Azrael finally returned to Port Azure, it was a different city. It was grander, richer, yet also more divided. But his enemies, though older, were clearly still there, enjoying their ill-gotten gains. Cormac, the resentful sailor, had, as expected, wasted his small share from the betrayal. He was now a common criminal, doing petty illegal jobs on the same docks where he had once served. Lord Azrael, through his agents, began to invest in Cormac's small, failing ventures. He offered help that always led Cormac into deeper debt, more incriminating situations, and finally, a spectacular public exposure of his crimes. Not violent, but humiliating. It stripped him of any last bit of dignity he might have held. Cormac was left a broken, mocked man, his petty betrayals finally catching up to him for all to see. Silas Thorne, the shipping owner, was now the clear leader of trade. His business spread across the seas, seeming impossible to beat. But Lord Azrael understood the complex dance of global markets and the delicate threads of reputation. He caused a series of damaging, seemingly unrelated financial accidents. Sudden price changes that ruined Thorne's largest contracts, anonymous leaks that revealed Thorne's less savory business partners, and smart support for Thorne's smaller, more ethical rivals. Piece by piece, Lord Azrael chipped away at Thorne's empire, forcing him into desperate losing choices, unraveling years of hidden corruption. The final blow came when a perfectly legal but deeply immoral deal of Thorne's was exposed on a global stage, turning public opinion, and then the markets, strongly against him. Silas Thorne, once untouchable, found his empire crumbling, piece by painful piece, a victim of his own greed, magnified by a master manipulator. And for Baron von Straten, he had climbed to the very top of power. His family, once just important, was now among the city's absolute elite, their name meaning virtue and public service. Lord Azrael's approach to von Straten was the most careful, the most personally satisfying. He didn't seek to destroy his money but his carefully built image. Through precise anonymous revelations, Lord Azrael exposed decades of von Straten's small cruelties, his lies, his long-forgotten abuses of power, and the true, chilling extent of his role in Aurelian Vance's disappearance. The revelations began as quiet whispers in society's finest homes, then exploded into huge public scandals. The city, once respectful, turned on its honorable leader. It ended in a spectacular, reputation-shattering fall from grace, leaving von Straten an outcast in the very society he had once so cruelly controlled. His punishment wasn't death, but a living death of public shame and complete unimportance. But there was one person Lord Azrael could not and would not touch with his vengeance: Lysandra. He had seen her from afar, a shadow of her old self, sadly married to von Straten's weak, uninspired son, as part of a political deal that had cemented the Baron's power. Her eyes, once so full of light, now held a sad, distant sorrow. Her suffering, a quiet, lasting reminder of his own stolen life, remained the one wound in his heart that would not heal. He understood that to intervene, to reveal himself, would only bring her more pain, perhaps even shame. Her freedom, her peace, was beyond the reach of his carefully planned revenge. The city watched, confused, as powerful figures strangely fell, their downfalls too precise, too complex to be simple chance. Whispers spoke of a curse, of a vengeful spirit, of a hidden hand guiding fate. Only Lord Azrael knew the frightening, exciting truth. It was the patient, unwavering hand of justice, meticulously served over years. Each betrayer received a fate made just for their specific sin. The scales had tipped, the ledger balanced. But as he stood on the highest balcony of his newly acquired mansion, looking out over the glittering, reordered lights of Port Azure, a city he had both lost and won back, a deep, unsettling question stayed with him in the quiet, salty night. Was the huge, devastating price of his vengeance truly worth the cost to his own soul? He had sought justice, but had he found peace? Or had the darkness of the Isle of Shadows simply extended its grip, changing Aurelian Vance into someone forever bound to the shadows he had so expertly cast? The answer, like the vast ocean before him, remained a deep, unfathomable mystery.